Hello students, a very good morning to all of you. Welcome to my channel. This is a very important class on Know Your Text series and we have been discussing Frankenstein. We have already discussed up to chapter 10. So today is the second and last part of Frankenstein. We will complete the remaining chapters today. But before starting, I want to give you a brief introduction about myself. My name is Vrishti Mukherjee. I have qualified NDA UGC NET exam in English literature 4 times and have also qualified West Bengal state examination. I have 3 years of teaching experience. Moreover, I have also taught in NPTEL online course from IIT Madras 3 times. So that is all about myself. We will directly start discussing the novel. So Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Today is the second part. So up to chapter 10, what we have discussed, let's take a quick recap of it. We were talking about the story of a famous scientist, Victor Frankenstein, who wanted to do research on the creation of life. And he was successful in his research. He finally created a new kind of species, but that becomes a monster. And that monster was deserted by Victor. The monster became very angry and he started taking revenge on Victor. So he killed Victor's brother William and the maid servant of their house, Justine Morris, was falsely accused of that and she was executed. After that, the monster begged Victor to learn his story. And he also questioned Victor that why you have abandoned me. We have done up to that point. So chapter number 11 talks about the monster story. So the monster explains how he spent tough time without its creator. So monster felt very upset that his own creator, Victor, deserted him. So he explains to Victor that he spent a very tough time without its creator. He explained light and darkness. He experienced light and darkness, hunger and cold, discovered fire and burnt by it. Just like a newborn baby learns each and everything gradually, the monster is also trying to learn. But the difference is that with the newborn baby, the whole family members support. There is the support of the whole family members, but with the monster, there is no one. Even Victor also, the creator also neglects him. So Monster shares his own story that how he experiences light and darkness, hunger and cold. He discovered fire, and Monster feels very bad because every human is terrified by him. So he avoids human company. He gradually starts isolating himself from the human society because he identifies that each and every human is getting terrified of him. Now, the monster is not responsible for his horrible looks, right? It is the responsibility of the creator. So, the monster says that each and every human is trying to avoid me, so I also avoid human company. He takes shelter in a cottage and watches the daily activities of the members. Basically, this cottage belongs to the De Lacy family. The name of the family will be revealed in the later chapters. So De Lacy family, he hides in a cottage of De Lacy family and he watches the daily activities of them. He's just trying to know how human society runs. Okay. Then comes chapter 12. Chapter 12, the monster continues his story. The monster notices that the old man is blind and the family is poor and hungry. He first of all notices that the family is very much unhappy. They have everything. They have a very nice house to live. They have other members, but still they are unhappy. So the monster realizes what unhappiness is. He is completely alien to this world and he doesn't know any human emotion or the normal common emotions of the society. So he realizes what unhappiness is. For the first time, he learns that yes, there is something called unhappiness. So he also feels that he is also unhappy. Okay, so monster notices that the reason of the unhappiness is that the family is very poor, they are hungry, and the old man is blind. So the monster is very kind hearted. When he realizes that the family is hungry, they are running shortage of food. So he stops eating their foods and he tries to help them. But he also knows that if he comes before them, then they will also get terrified. So he gathers leaves and woods beside the house at night so that the family members can be helped in some way or the other. The monster notices that human beings talk in a particular language. But after the creation, the monster doesn't know any language, how to communicate. So he realizes that language is the medium through which human beings communicate with each other. So he tries to learn the language of the De Lacy family. Actually, De Lacy family is the symbol of the human civilization in a microscope to the monster. So he tries to learn their language and he knows the names of two people in their house. The young man, his name is Felix, and the woman's name is Agatha. So he starts learning the language. So this is how the monster's life goes on. One day, the monster feels very hot, so he goes to a swimming pool. But naturally, people becomes very terrified seeing the monster, and the monster is almost thrown away from the swimming pool. So now he comes to realize that human beings are very much partial. Human beings are very much partial in nature because they only judge another person by the looks, by the appearance. So for them, appearance is the reality, but it should not be. So Mary Shelley is also satirizing the contemporary notion of human society that appearance, if the appearance is good, then everything is good, but if the appearance is bad, then the inner quality doesn't matter. Mary Shelley satirizes the thing, and through the words of the monster, Mary Shelley tries to deny that notion that no, looks are not always important. The monster looks very horrible, and the term monster is also a biased term, right? If we talk about from the perspective of theory, psychoanalytic theory, then the term monster is actually denoted by the typical civilized human society. That someone who is not civilized is a monster. But this monster, he has not given any name. He is only known as the monster or the devil, right? So also the monster feels that people call me monster because of my looks. I am not like a very common human being. I do not look very good, but his behavior reflects his kindness, his feelings for others. He is trying to convince people that no, don't judge a book by its cover. I know very much. I am sympathetic to all of you. I want to be friend. I want to make friendship with you, but people deny him. So looks are important than behavior to the human society. Monster learns that and he feels very sad regarding that. Now, gradually, the winter goes and the spring arrives. The monster feels new hope in his heart. Next, chapter 13. Chapter 13 talks about kind of new arrival in the family. A new woman arrives. His name is Safi. Now, the monster notices that feelings are constantly in change. Human feelings, human emotions, they are not stick to stick at one point of time, they always change. So he notices that when Sefi arrives in their house, Felix's mood is brightened. And Sefi speaks a different language. Already the monster learns a little bit of their language, the language which the Lacy family use. But later he realizes that Sefi's language is different. So she is maybe an outsider. And Felix teaches her from a history book. That history book actually contains the history of mankind. So the monster learns everything about human generation and human race. And he also learns that human is incapable of evil also. It is such a species that it has tremendous potentiality. With the if they use the potentiality or utilize the potentiality, then they can do something better. They can perform miracles. And if they use their potentiality or rather misuse their potentiality, then they are also capable of doing worst evil. The monster learns that. And listening to the human race and human civilization, the monster realizes that he is completely a misfit, a kind of outcast in the human society, because he is not properly human, not properly non human. He is in between. So he has no species, he has no other member of his own generation with whom he can consult or he can live. He is completely alone, and that is why human civilization is also trying to uh, sideline him. Monster has no species. He is doomed to live without family and friends. He realizes that it is his destiny to live alone because he is a misfit, an outcast. The- Now comes chapter 14. In chapter 14, we come to know that the name of the family is De Lacy family. So Monster learns the whole story of the De Lacy family, why they are so poor, why they are living in a very isolated place, away from the human civilization or the mainstream of township. He learns everything. So he learns that Seifi's father was a wealthy man wrongly accused of crime. And to save Seifi's father, Felix helped him. And during that course, Felix fell in love with Sophie. Seifi's father wished their marriage and promised to help them to escape. And finally, all of them escaped to Italy. But later it was discovered that Felix was the main conspirer to prove Seifi's father as a criminal. So automatically, Seifi's wealth was denied. Hilesis lost their wealth, and now Seifi's father denied this marriage. Once he supported it, but when he came to know that his would-be son-in-law is responsible for his debasement in the society, then he denied the marriage. But Steffi loved Felix very much, so her father actually forced her to go back to Turkey. They actually belonged to Turkey. But Steffi denied and Steffi returned to Felix. That is why the family is running shortage of wealth. Because the wealth which was promised by Steffi's father to Felix, it was denied and Steffi escaped and returned to him empty handed. So now, what is the significance of this chapter? You may call it a kind of diversion or a kind of subplot of the story of the novel. Yes, it is a kind of subplot, the story of the De Lacy families, but the monster notices each and every point, and this chapter is significant in terms of projecting what the human civilization actually is. The so called civilization, is it really civilized or not? Is it really an example of civilization or barbarism? Because the monster is completely pure at heart. He is created by Victor, right? And think the monster as a little baby. When a little baby takes birth, its mind is completely pure and empty. That is why we say that children are the mirror of God. Right? We often say that God lives inside the children's heart because they are very much pure and they are not accustomed to the complexities and hypocrisies of the human world. When they grow up gradually, they learn that no, the world is not so beautiful, which we thought earlier. It has a lot of complexities, and human race itself is very complex. Their emotions are very complex. They cannot truly love anyone. They cannot truly hate anyone. They always run with a mixed up of different emotions. They show that they love someone, but inherently they hate. So, dual emotions, duplicate personality personalities, uh, multiple personalities are there in one single man or one single human. So the monster is also learning bit by bit the traits and the kinds of human race. He also thinks that human is a very talented person and human are the best. But now the loopholes of human civilization, the darker sides of human civilization is getting explored to the monster. So this chapter is also an eye opener for the monster and also the eye opener for the readers that yes, human civilization is actually these. People are wrongly accused of crime. People are getting punishment. The the people who are getting punishment, they are not even guilty. Sometimes justice also fails to do fair justice to people. Sometimes people are killing each other. They can create life and they can also take someone's life. So all these bits and bits of human civilization is learned by the monster. So this chapter is an eye opener to us and also to the monster. Okay. Then comes the next chapter, chapter 15. Chapter 15 is a very interesting chapter because here the monster says that he finds the book Paradise Lost by John Milton. And the monster learns language, so he reads the book and he gets inspired by the book. He feels that Paradise Lost is his own story. He finds himself similar to Adam, and also sometimes he identifies himself as Satan. We call Satan as devil, though Milton has presented that Satan is the true hero in Paradise Lost. That's a different issue. But generally, the term Satan, we still associate the term Satan with devil, who has rebelled against God. Right? So Satan, the monster, says that I am a devil. People call me a monster, and he identifies himself with Satan. Satan is also devoid of its creator's love. God has banished Satan. Here also, Victor has already banished the monster. So, creator doesn't take care of its creation. He curses Victor for creating him so ugly. Obviously, this is not the monster's fault. This is Victor's fault. So he curses Victor that why have you made me so ugly? And I have also told you that the novel opens with an epigraph from Paradise Lost when Adam questions that did I request the maker to make me from the clay? When God punishes Adam that you and Eve should go to earth and live forever doomed, then Adam questions that did I request you to make me? Or did I request you not to give us knowledge? You are cursing me, you are cursing us, but is it our fault? Adam questions. So the same question is given in the epigraph of the novel. Maybe the monster is here questioning Victor that have I requested you to make me? Now you have made me, so it is your responsibility to take care of me. And if you are not taking care of me, then it means that you are avoiding your responsibility. You are a bad human who is trying to escape from reality, who is trying to deny its existence. So he curses Victor for creating him so ugly, and because of his appearance, the monster is facing rejection in different parts of the world, wherever he goes. Now, when one day he finds that Felix, Agatha, and Seppi, they are not at home. Only the blind old man was there. So the monster comes out and introduces himself to the blind old man because he thinks that the old man cannot see. So maybe he will be the only person who will not take care of his appearance. So he can speak with the old man. And it happens really. The old man starts talking with him. The conversation is going well. But in between, Felix comes and Felix sees the monster. They becomes very terrified. He attacks the monster. Finally, the monster has to escape. Next chapter, chapter 16. So next day, The monster again decides to approach the De Lacy family because the monster is somehow emotionally attached with that family. But when next day he goes, he sees that the family has decided to leave the place because of the last incident. They saw the monster, they became very terrified, and they thought that it was something of supernatural uh, or magical, black magic or ominous indication. So they decided to leave the place. Now the monster feels really upset because the moving away of the De Lacy family indicates the monster's last link, which is cut off to the society. So his last connection towards the human civilization or the human society was the De Lacy family. But when they moved away, the monster is really lonely. Now he feels very angry. He decides to take revenge on Victor. He moves to Geneva. On his way, he saves a girl from drowning, but her family members shoot him. Again, the same theory is getting applied, that appearance is the main thing. The monster looks horrible, but he is a very kind hearted person. He saves a girl from drowning, so, in spite of giving thanks to the monster, the family members attacked him only because of his horrible appearance. They shoot him. The monster became badly injured, and it takes 1 week to heal completely. Then he comes to Geneva and he meets a little boy. Now he feels that the little boy should not have that kind of complexity, so he can accept him as his friend. He moves to the little boy to make him his companion, but the boy is also terrified. Now one incident happens that in out of fear, the boy shouts that his brother Frankenstein will kill the monster. His brother, some Frankenstein, the name is not pronounced, but the brother says that the boy says that my brother Frankenstein will kill you. Now that name Frankenstein makes the monster enraged. He feels very much angry listening to the name of Frankenstein because this is the cursed name who has made his life so miserable. So, hearing the name Frankenstein, the monster becomes so angry that he strangles the boy at that moment. He strangles and kills the boy. Now, this little boy is actually William, uh, Victor's brother. The incident which we have already read, the murder of Victor's brother earlier. So, actually, it was done by monster, and Justin was falsely accused of that. The monster finds a barn to sleep, and there he meets another girl. After murdering William, the monster finds a barn to sleep, and there he meets another girl. This girl was Justine. Now, seeing the girl, the monster feels all the more enraged because he realizes that this beautiful creation of God, woman, is not for him. No woman will ever see him, no woman will ever love him, and he will be completely detached from this particular species of the society, the woman. So he feels all the more angry, and what he does, he puts the picture of the boy, the locket, the boy's locket, in her pocket. And after finding that locket, Justin is considered guilty by the human society. Again, see, there is also the flaw of justice. Justin is falsely accused of this crime only because William's locket was found in her pocket. But that is not the proper justification. Right? So again, one loophole of human civilization is there. So he realizes that he has no companion. He will forever be denied of female beauty. So now the monster meets Victor and demands that I need a female companion. Each and every man has the right to enjoy the company of a female at certain point of time. But I am not getting any female companion because of my appearance. So I request you, that if you have made me, if you have created me, then it is your responsibility to give me a companion. Because without a single companion, no one can live. And no human beings can be my companion. So give me a female companion, create a female counterpart for me. He demands from Victor. Now, the next chapter, chapter 17. Now, Victor is all the more terrified with that thought. Victor clearly refuses to make another monster. The monster becomes very angry and he threatens Victor to wait for a series of miseries. Now the monster is not ready to tolerate anyone. He says that, okay, if you are denying to create a female counterpart for me, then just wait and watch. You will have to see a number of miseries in your life. I am not going to uh, make your life very beautiful. I will be the nightmare of your life. He also requests Victor that if you make that female counterpart, then I will never come to you. I will be forever away from human civilization, and me and my female counterpart will move to South America and we will live separately. Please give me a companion, I will leave you forever. Sometimes Victor feels sad for him, but sometimes he feels hatred seeing the appearance of the monster. Creator himself is almost abhorred to see the appearance of the monster. So Victor demands some time to think whether he should create another monster or not. Then comes chapter 18. Victor is in a great dilemma. He continuously questions whether it is justified to create another monster or not. So, because of that, he wants to do another research in England to create another monster which will be not so harmful for him. Now, again, Victor is engrossed in the same research of creating a new life. So now his father, Alphonse, suggests that now he should marry Elizabeth. Victor loves Elizabeth very much, but Victor is not ready to marry because he is constantly uh, traumatized with the thought of creating another monster. So, with that burden of creation, he is not ready to marry. He tells everything to his best friend Clarval. So, Clarval says that, okay, if you want to pursue your study, you can go. I will also go with you and I will look after your family also. Even if I will stay with you, but I will look after your family. You just do your research properly. So finally, Victor isolates himself from everyone, a kind of forceful isolation to do research. Now, in chapter 19 and 20, finally, what happens that to do the research, both Victor and Clarval arrive at London to consult with the other scientists. And finally, to make that female counterpart, Victor establishes a lab in Scotland, in a lonely island of Scotland, and he starts working alone. So he starts the project, but thinks that it will create a race of devils. He is also, in fact, thinking of that problem that the monster has already said him that I will go away to South America, I will never meet you. But if the monster has got a female counterpart, it means that one race of monster will be created. A generation of monsters will be created. Now that will not be very much uh, good for human civilization or for Victor and his family. So Victor, at one point of time, when he thinks that it will create a race of devils, he destroys the creation. Just then, when he destroys the creation, he sees the monster laughing at him from the window. Very gruesome scene. Whether the monster is really present or whether Victor is hallucinating, that is not clear. But when Victor is making that female counterpart and in the middle he destroys the project, he notices the monster at the window and the monster is grinning, is laughing badly, looking at Victor. When Victor destroys the project, the monster becomes very angry and warns him that I will meet you on your wedding day and that meeting will not be very good. Clear threatening was given by the Victor is all the more terrified. He destroys everything inside the lab. He gathers all the materials and dump it into the ocean so that it can never be discovered. Now, after a long time, he receives a letter from Henry Clerval that please come back. Uh, it has been a long time you are in Scotland, so now please return to England. And Victor also decides that okay, I will return back. No female counterpart. I'm not going to create another monster. It is completely defined, and I will challenge the monster. Okay. But what happens that due to rough weather, Victor drifts apart to another island. Victor has sailed from Scotland to England. But in the middle of his journey, due to rough weather, he drifts apart to another island. Now, when Victor comes to another island, there he is falsely accused as a murderer. Victor is very much surprised. I have never come to this island, and the people of the island they are considering me as murderer. So he realizes to meet the magistrate, the local magistrate, Mr. Kirwin. That I am a great scientist and people are considering me as murderer. Why? He decides to tell his whole story to Mr. Kirwin. Now, in chapter 21, Mr. Kirwin is a very kind hearted person. So, Kirwin informs Victor that please don't mind, it is actually a kind of misunderstanding. But yes, yesterday or yesterday night, there was a murder at our island. So, he informs Victor that the dead body of a man was found with black mark on his neck, some big hand, black fiendish mark. That phrase is repeated several times in the novel. So, black fiendish mark on his neck. A man was mysteriously killed. We do not know the man. And the reason for this misunderstanding is that the man appeared on a same boat just as your boat. Now, Victor feels very much surprised that who is the man. So, he requests Carvin to take him to the dead body. And to his shock, Victor notices that it is his best friend Clarvel. Finally, Henry Clarvel, Victor's Victor's closest companion, was killed by the monster. He is shocked, he is terrified, and he remained bedridden for 2 months after the death of Clarvel. So during that 2 months, Victor is kept in Carvin's custody, and finally Carvin realizes that yes, Victor is completely innocent of this crime. So he decides to free him. Now Victor realizes that I must go back to my own home because the monster is getting uncontrollable. If I cannot control him, then he will destroy my family. He has already destroyed my friend. So I'm not going to lose any one of my family members. So I will go to my family and protect my family against the monster. Finally, Victor's father also comes to take him back to Geneva. Now, chapter 22. Victor receives a letter from Elizabeth, and now Elizabeth is also ready to marry Victor. Victor is also ready but thinks about the monster's warning. Whenever he plans to marry, he thinks about that warning that I will meet you on your wedding day. But finally, after a lot of tension, Victor and Elizabeth get married. They go to Italy for honeymoon. But Victor cannot enjoy the honeymoon because of the constant threatening. Rather, he feels very upset. Now, in chapter 23, another tragedy happens. During their honeymoon night, a storm rose suddenly after they arrive at the cottage. And Victor realizes that maybe the monster is coming, the monster is anywhere hiding. So he advises Elizabeth that please go to bed and I will search for the monster outside the house. So Elizabeth has gone to bed and Victor comes out of the house to search for the monster. But at that moment, he hears a scream. When he enters into the house, he found that Elizabeth is already killed by strangling. To kill the monster, Victor fires. Victor sees that the monster is running out of the house after killing Elizabeth, so he fires but it misses. Victor is now completely mad. He rushes back to Geneva to give the news of her death. Victor's father also dies a few days later, and Victor becomes mad because he cannot protect her family members. He even cannot protect his beloved wife from the clutch of the monster. Victor becomes mad, and this is a very famous quotation of Victor. He curses the whole human civilization that, "Man, how ignorant art thou in thy pride of wisdom." It's a very beautiful line written by Mary Shelley that it is almost a kind of warning to the whole human civilization that, man, you are very much ignorant. You feel that your wisdom has no limit. You feel that you can do everything. You feel that you are the next counterpart of God. But how ignorant are you? You are completely helpless before your destiny, before the power of the monster. The devil is powerful than you. There are more things that are powerful than humans. So, man, you are very much ignorant to consider yourself as the most powerful animal of the world. No, you are not the powerful. You are not the most powerful. So, don't feel pride of your wisdom, because ultimately your wisdom leads to your own destruction. Victor finally realizes that, man, how ignorant art thou in thy pride of wisdom. Victor feels that I also considered myself very proud that I'm a great scientist. I can create a new life. Now, see what happens. I have created a new life, but that new life is taking away the life of other people one by one. So, what is the significance of creating new? Now, at this point, the novel raises so many questions of the process of creation. I have already told you while discussing the background that Mary Shelley wrote the novel when she faced a miscarriage and she was again pregnant with another child. During that time of pregnancy, she wrote this novel talking about the creation. So maybe this is a kind of serious assault to nature, that nature has given the power of creation only to the woman. Without the help of a woman, a man cannot create a new life alone. But in Victor's creation, there is no presence of woman. So maybe from feminist point of view, it is a clear revenge of nature against Victor, that you are trying to create a life without the help of any woman. Now see how a motherless creature can be, how a motherless new life can be. It will not be a human, it will be a monster. If a baby is denied of his mother's love, he will be a monster. So this is the feminist interpretation of the novel if you think it from that perspective. Okay, so Victor finally realizes that his wisdom is nothing. He is going to the verge of destruction. The last chapter. Now Victor is very angry. He swears for revenge. The monster feels very happy. The monster feels the joy of success, that he has completed his revenge, and he now calls Victor a miserable wretch. You have no power. You are miserable. See me, your creation. I'm destroy. I have the power to destroy the whole world, and you, with your science, cannot do anything to me. So Victor tries to track the monster northward in Arctic regions. He chases the monster and arrives before Walton's ship, where the novel begins. That when Robert Walton is writing uh, the series of letters to his sister, he notices that a man was coming exhausted, terrified, uh, in that Arctic region. And that man was Victor Frankenstein, and he actually narrated the whole story to Robert Walton. So Victor knows that he is almost dying, and he tells Walton to take revenge on the monster. That if you find the monster, please don't let him go. Now, here actually the chapter ends. Now, the remaining conclusion is said by Walton, which is the last part of his letters. Walton tells his sister that he believes in Victor's story and he also feels pity for that great scientist. He realizes that how a lofty ambition leads to destruction. So now Walton decides to return back because he wants to save Victor. Walton's ship faces trouble in between, and Victor encourages the crew members to return back. But finally, on the way, Victor dies. Then, after Victor's death, Walter notices the monster coming out of that Arctic region, and very surprisingly, the monster cries over Victor's dead body. The creation weeps for its creator, then it disappears. Now, this reflects the kindness and the true generosity of the monster. He knows that Victor has done a lot of, or rather, Victor is responsible for a lot of miseries to him. But still, he weeps for Victor because ultimately Victor is his creator. So, without Victor, the monster will not be able to get a new life to experience everything about the human civilization. So, finally, when Victor dies, the monster comes and weeps over his dead body, then it disappears. Walton writes that I am very much surprised that the monster, actually, whom Victor is going to kill, that monster is so kind hearted, so generous that he weeps over Victor's body and ultimately he pays respect to its creator. Finally, it disappears in the. This is how the novel ends. It is a very controversial novel in the sense that it has raises so many questions regarding creation, regarding the destructive power of science, how far science can do good to mankind, or how can science be a source of destruction. During the year 1818, Mary Shelley was writing all these things, all these modern issues, and also remember that Mary Shelley was only a girl of 18 when she was writing this novel. So, how much deeply she thought of all these issues, that is why she could produce such a novel. And obviously, she was the winner of the post story writing competition. So this is about the novel Frankenstein. I hope you enjoyed it. If you get time, then definitely read the text. Mary Shelley had an amazing way of narration. She chose the words very beautifully. Each and every emotion of Victor, the emotion of the monster was expressed in a beautiful way. Frankenstein also has different versions, but the 1818 version was the original one. And we discussed this particular version, the original version of the novel. There was also a movie made on Frankenstein, but that movie had a lot of imaginary issues also, which is not exactly related to the novel. So, first of all, read the novel and then, if you like, you can watch it. Okay, so that is about Frankenstein, and that is the end of today's class. This is the video for today. We will meet again in another video. So please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.